Hey there, I'm Hallie, and we are coming on the air tonight with the newest update from the National Hurricane Center, literally within the last 60 seconds, about that potentially catastrophic hurricane in Florida. It turns out, it appears that Milton has wobbled a bit north toward Tampa. It is also moving fast. It is now expected to make landfall a little earlier than expected, possibly in that 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern range. All of this is on top of the tornadoes already spinning off. At least 17 already reported, some 50 warnings issued already from the National Weather Service in Miami. That's the most they've ever put out in a single day, and it's hitting some of the places you see here. Take a look at some of the video that's been coming in Broward, Hendry, Glades County. I want to show you also some video from a home camera. Look at these trees whipping around as this apparent tornado blows through. This is in Fort Myers. You can actually see it getting more and more intense as the seconds go by. We're going to take you live to Fort Myers in just a second. Some of these tornadoes are even hitting the other side of the state, like in Martin County, where the wind flipped a trailer, snapped some trees. Take a live look right now at the wind, the water in Tampa, St. Pete, Lee County, Jacksonville. This is what is happening on the ground right now. It is only going to get rainier and windier as the night progresses, as this storm is expected to make landfall in maybe as soon as 4 or 5 hours from now. This is between Tampa Bay and Venice. That is the expectation here. You saw ambulances lined up earlier. You see that on the left as hospitals evacuated patients, and highways had been jammed up. But at this point, officials say, listen, stay in, hunker down. If you haven't left by now, don't go at this point. It is simply too late. We've got team coverage tonight. You can see it all across the state. But I want to start with Bill Karins and this latest update from the National Hurricane Center. Walk us through it, Bill, because it sounds like at this point, Sarasota is about to get hammered with storm surge potentially.
Yes, we've had a bunch of little things happen that has huge effects. So the first thing is, in the last couple hours, we had a slight wobble north. Doesn't sound like much, only about 10 miles, but that has now shifted that landfall position. Instead of just right over Sarasota, now the landfall is going to be a little bit up the coast into the southern Tampa Bay near Bradenton. And that means that Sarasota is the unfortunate one sitting where the worst storm surge will occur. So that's one thing that's happened. The other thing, the forward speed was supposed to slow down. We're still cruising at 17 miles per hour. It hasn't happened yet, and that's why instead of like landfall at midnight or 2 a.m., now we're thinking maybe 9 p.m., 10 p.m. If it doesn't slow down, maybe even an hour before that. So this is really quickly going to get serious here in Sarasota and southern Tampa Bay. You're getting very close to that northern eastern portion of the eye wall. We'll take a closer look at that. And some dry air and shear has done its job. I mean, we went from 185. This morning we were about 160, and now we're down to 120 miles per hour. We want the wind as weak as possible because that means a lot less wind damage, less people losing power, less people have to do repairs on their structures. But we're already locked in on the storm surge, the rainfall, and of course the tornadoes, which we've had all day long. So here's the new path from the Hurricane Center. They now, earlier was just south of Sarasota, and now that center line is up here along the southern portions of Tampa Bay. And the reason that's so important, we've been saying all along, is because if this line goes north up into Pinellas County here, that storm surge at landfall will rush incredibly fast through Tampa Bay and be extremely destructive to thousands of properties. Now we're mostly focused on those properties south here of Sarasota down to Venice, down to, a little bit in Port Charlotte and Fort Myers, but not the brunt of it. Not like we're going to see up here northwards from Venice up to Sarasota. Then we take it just south of I-4 as a Category 1 hurricane in the middle of the night. This is torrential rain from Tampa to Orlando. Wind damage also in those areas. A lot of trees. You're going to have power out in some spots for over a week, I'm sure. Our computer lines, they're still south of this, but look where our storm is. They're north of those lines, Hallie. That was because of that wobble that we saw in the last couple hours. And the biggest impacts is going to be the storm surge changes. Now we're looking at about 9 to 13 feet. We're no longer saying that 10 to 15. That's because we knocked those winds down a little bit to Category 3 instead of Category 4. But a 9 to 13-foot storm surge in this zone is still very problematic. So again, we're in the last couple hours here. I know everyone in the Tampa Bay area is holding their breath. It's a very close call.
Bill, I want you to stand by for 1 second, because on the right side of the screen, we're showing live pictures coming in from some of those cameras that are posted up across the region. That's Tampa Bay on the upper right-hand side of your screen. Just below it earlier, you might have seen the pictures coming out of St. Pete, where you saw people had pulled up in an SUV. They switched the driver and the passenger as they were looking to drive along, presumably to get out of Dodge, essentially. Bill, the tornado factor has been one that has developed in a big way today. Can you talk through that as we're taking a live look here at St. Pete?
Yeah, this has been prolific at producing tornadoes during the day. We've had some big storms, too. And what we're looking at here, this is north of the center, so the wind is blowing offshore, and that's why the water levels are not that high. It's like an anti-surge. Right now, the wind is being blown out of Tampa Bay and away from St. Petersburg. That's why you're not seeing any water there on the streets. I've already seen reports from Naples and up towards the Fort Myers area. We're now in minor, heading towards moderate flood stage because the storm surge is up about 3 or 4 feet in those areas, and it's coming in. That's what will eventually this evening come up the coast. I know you asked about the tornadoes. Last count I saw was 13 tornadoes reported. You can see them dotting the map, 2 of them near Fort Myers. We had a lot near Lake Okeechobee in between West Palm and up to Vero Beach. And even at this hour, we currently have at least 1, 2, 3 tornado warnings near Fort Pierce and Jupiter. So, these tornadoes, I haven't seen, Hallie, like structures destroyed. I haven't really seen many reports of a lot of damage. So this is going to kind of take a little backseat because now that storm surge is about to do extreme damage to houses and businesses as this eye moves closer to shore.
Bill Karins, I know you're standing by and will be throughout the night here with us. Thank you very much. We're going to get back to you in a minute, but let me bring in Keith Turi now, FEMA's Acting Associate Administrator in the Office of Response and Recovery. Thank you for being with us. I know that it is all hands on deck for you tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah, happy to be here.
Let me pick up where Bill Karins, our meteorologist, just left off on those tornadoes that we've seen all across the state. How does that add to the challenge now that FEMA faces moving forward?
Yeah, this storm is going to bring a range of hazards, as you just heard. Obviously, we have the storm surge as one of the most primary life-threatening threats, but we also have those tornadoes that have been happening throughout the course of the day and are going to continue to happen. And the rainfall is going to create significant risk for flash flooding, but also riverine flooding as those rivers are going to fill up and the water is not going to have anywhere to go. And so we've been saying all day, our partners at the National Weather Service have been saying all day to take this storm very, very seriously. And it includes that whole range of threats that you're going to see across the entire peninsula.
As we take a live look now on the left-hand side of our screens at Tampa Bay, do you believe that people are, in fact, taking this seriously? Do you have reason to believe that folks have heeded those warnings?
Yeah, that's what we've been seeing is that there have been the folks have been taking it seriously. They have been evacuating. Of course, there's always a few that don't do that, and we will work with our partners to get that message out as long as we possibly can to hope that they will take that action. At this point, as you mentioned, it's probably too late. You need to stay in place at this point. But in general, I think people have heeded the warnings. But obviously, we don't want to lose a single life if we don't have to, and so we'll keep pushing on that as long as we can.
I know that even for folks who are outside that immediate cone as far as direct impact from Milton, one of the big concerns is power outages and the possibility of extended power outages, people bracing against that. That comes with concern over carbon monoxide, because of these gas and diesel powered generators that people use instead. We saw after Helene, according to America's Poison Centers, there was a rise in carbon monoxide exposure. How much of a concern is that for you right now? And what is your warning to folks on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most people don't realize that many of the risks that come from these hurricanes comes in the hours and days after the storm passes. And so right now we're focused on the risk of the actual surge. But in the days ahead, there's going to be down power lines to watch out for, floodwaters to make sure you don't walk through or drive through. People are going to have power outages. Make sure that you're using flashlights. And if you have those generators, like you just said, they need to be 20 feet or more away from your home. And so this safety message is going to continue for a number of days. And that's still going to be the priority even after the storm clears.
Let me just ask you this. We know that the FEMA director, your boss, basically, has said the agency has the money to get through now to respond to both Helene and to Milton here. Is FEMA ready for what's to come from Milton? And do you need more money? Should Congress come back into session and give additional resources to FEMA?
Yeah, we have all the resources we need, both financial and from a personnel perspective, to respond to both Helene and to Milton. We have got the ability to spend the funding in our fiscal year 25 budget. That is enough money for us right now. No one needs to be worried about FEMA not having enough resources. And we have pre-positioned and prepared for this. We plan for multiple hurricanes in a year. It's not a surprise to have multiple hurricanes hitting. It's unfortunate. It's difficult, but we're ready for it. We'll work with our state and local partners to respond.
Keith Turi, I know you got to go. Thank you for spending some time with us here. Appreciate that. Let me go to Sam Brock now, who's live for us in Fort Myers. But this is one of the places we actually showed you earlier. An apparent tornado had blown through. Sam, what's the situation on the ground here as we're showing viewers again those heavy winds just like ripping down a street in the area where you are?
Yeah. It's just started to pick up. But yeah, earlier, absolutely, Hallie, tornadic activity, certainly by all appearances. That's what we saw. Let me walk you through that. Around 11:30, 12 o'clock today, a flurry of tornado warnings started to come through, going off. You know exactly what that high-pitched sound means. You look at your phone. I was at our hotel, actually, which is about 10 or 15 minutes from downtown. Everyone was scurrying about, trying to get inside the hotel. Later, our producer capturing some of these images. Not far from there, you have on Colonial Boulevard. It's one of the main strips through Fort Myers, of trees that have been splintered and really create a path, much the same in terms of a footprint of a tornado you would expect to see. Metal that had been bended and wrapped around poles. Lots of folks that had close calls. We have not heard anything so far in terms of injuries, but that did really pop up early. It's not surprising that on the southeastern side of this system, we would see tornadoes, but no one was really expecting it so early this morning. Haven't had any since then, but we are starting to see some of the activity in terms of rain and wind really pick up.
Obviously, you're on the outer band of those cities that need to be on highest alert for the potential for a lot of storm surge coming in, especially as you heard that latest track from Bill Karins here. An 8 to 12-foot storm surge, what does that look like where you are, especially 2 years after Hurricane Ian that blasted Lee County and Fort Myers head on?
Okay, this is the most important point to make. I think those two words together, storm surge, are like immediately traumatizing for anyone that lives around here. Behind me, this is the Caloosahatchee River. All right, the high tide, Hallie, is not until 8:15 tomorrow morning. The river already, and this connects Fort Myers with North Fort Myers, is basically at ground level as we speak. You see that gazebo in the middle of that island out there? That's sitting at about street level. Look where the water is right now. It's only coming up many, many feet. According to our weather folks, we talked to them, the projections for 8 to 12 feet still stand. Now, where we are right now, this is inland, and it is in an evacuation zone, but when you go way farther west, maybe 10 or 15 miles, those barrier islands that sound so familiar and evocative, we're talking about Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel Island, Gasparilla Island, Pine Island, they were decimated 2 years ago by Hurricane Ian. Now, that was more of a wind event as well, but the storm surge created so much havoc, 150 or so deaths related to Ian. Half of them were in Lee County, and you will remember those images, Hallie, of boats. I mean, yachts, commercial boats that were floating above electric towers and just sort of careening their way through the streets of Fort Myers Beach. All of that happened. You know, I remember walking around the blocks and blocks of devastated homes that were just piles of rubble and iron and metal and like 8-foot-high sand dunes. That's the concern right now. If there's any good news in all of this, Hurricane Helene a couple of weeks ago definitely scared some folks there. They got, I think, 6 feet of storm surge. Water was in their home. Sewage in some cases was inside their homes. They're rebuilding these houses and now got to go, in some cases, back to ground zero or square one. Not a good situation at all. But the shelter scenario right now, 7,000 people in this county roughly are in shelters at last check, up from 1,600 yesterday. So at least people appear to be taking the lesson.
That's right. Yeah, some of those shelters even filling up. Sam, really quickly before we let you go, just because I think people are interested in this and they want to know, you are also, and our crew, making precautions to be safe when this storm comes ashore, right?
100%. We are right near a parking garage, which has 5 or 6 levels. That would be nowhere close to any storm surge. It's not really going to be a wind event where we are standing right now. We are 2 minutes away from that. In no way are we in harm's way.
Sam Brock, thank you very much. Let me bring in Jesse Kirsch. She's live for us in Sarasota now. And Jesse, this is the city that would be closest to landfall, though you saw that track now with Milton expected to go just slightly north. That means you are looking, you heard Sam talk about a big storm surge. You are looking at a potentially huge storm surge, 10 to 15 feet. Think about 15 feet. That's like the first story of a house. I mean, just to give people some perspective there, look around your house, right? That's like ceiling height. Generally, it seems like the weather's been coming in waves. It's remarkable to look at the scene behind you now because it's going to look a heck of a lot different in about 5 hours.
Yeah, and Hallie, when you talk about the storm surge potential here, especially with that slight track north, the right side of the storm is typically where we see the strongest winds, the strongest storm surge, the highest storm surge. We're looking at potentially 13 feet. That's like having multiple people stacked on top of each other. The reality is if you are caught in that storm surge, your likelihood of being able to survive it is very, very slim, if not entirely impossible. And I want to go back to where Sam is right now for a moment, Fort Myers area. I just connected with someone yesterday who I met in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian down there more than 2 years ago, and she told me she still still is not back in her home from that storm more than 2 years ago. And now this whole area is potentially getting rocked by yet another storm. Here in Sarasota, they have been calling for evacuations, as they have in many other areas. We've had intermittent bouts of heavier rain, higher winds, but right now it's relatively calm out here. Right over my shoulder, beyond those buildings, you can see that is Sarasota Bay. And so when that water rushes in, we could potentially see it flooding streets. It just took a couple hours of rain for us to see flooding here already, Hallie, today. Thankfully, that flooding, I'm checking right behind me, several stories down, but that flooding has receded for the time being in the streets. But, you know, that's just from some rain, not to mention the onslaught of storm surge, which we are potentially expecting here.
Yeah. Jesse Kirsch live for us in Sarasota. Thank you. Let me go now to this theme we've been talking about, right? The issue of Helene and now Milton, right? Milton right on top of another big storm less than 2 weeks ago. And we're hearing some of the stories of people who already lost everything in Helene, now worried about how much worse it could get. Here's our Priscilla Thompson talking with somebody who left their home in St. Pete to head to Orlando ahead of Helene 10 days ago. Watch.
You're really kind of numb. You're really just kind of numb. We've all been in shock. Just your adrenaline just takes over. We've been through a lot of suffering, so I think we understand suffering into such different ways, and I know that we get through it.
So Marissa Parr is just north of St. Pete out in Tampa for us tonight. And Marissa, you look at the situation there. At least 4 shelters are already at capacity in the Tampa Bay area. Presumably a good sign, right? It means people have left those mandatory evacuation zones and they've found safer areas. You've got highways, multiple highways closed to traffic here. Flooding has already started. If people haven't left already, it is too late now, right?
Correct, Hallie. The idea being, you can see the conditions behind me. They are deteriorating very quickly. And I think the idea being, hunker down if you can. They really don't want people on the roads anymore. It is simply not safe and in some ways impossible. We're already starting to see flooding in several roads. I've seen videos and photos of flooding on some streets, and that's just from the rainwater, not even the storm surge yet. And of course, we talked about the barrier islands here off of Pinellas County have already been closed off. We've seen several of the bridges, the major bridges around here. In fact, every single bridge that connects Pinellas County to Tampa and those surrounding areas, those have already been closed for a reason, Hallie. And as you mentioned, I think that the fact that we're already seeing shelters beginning to reach capacity, you talked about those packed highways, does illustrate why it is difficult for some people to make the decision to evacuate. It is not only costly, it is burdensome, it is very difficult to find shelter. We know we ourselves got evacuated out of several different hotels that we were initially booked in because Zone A, Zone B had mandatory evacuations, which included the hotels we were looking to stay in initially. So I want to take you to one person. She is living in Bradenton Beach, and she said that it was a last-minute decision this morning. She knew she had until around noon, but she made a very last-minute decision. We asked her how she was feeling for everyone that chose to stay behind.
Are you worried about your neighbors who chose to stay?
I am, but I love them and I know why. I know why they're doing it. I understand why they're doing it, and they're hoping that if something slight goes wrong, that they'll be able to fix it and they'll go to their second floor and they'll be okay. And I hope that that's true.
And Hallie, I will tell you, again, everyone that I have spoken to who chose to ride out the storm, Hurricane Helene, that was the previous one just under 2 weeks ago, did not make that same decision this time. Of course, there are still people we've heard about that are still choosing to ride out Milton, but at this point, this is at the time where it is just not safe to be on those roads if you change your mind at the last moment. And I will also point out, she had so much compassion. You know, she was saying, no matter what, this is a lose-lose. Even if Tampa gets spared from the worst of it, that means that somewhere a different community is bearing the brunt of this, and it's just devastating. These are tight-knit communities up and down the Gulf Coast of Florida.
One thing that I've heard repeatedly is this idea that, hey, the only thing that people feel like they can hope for is that the storm weakens dramatically. That feels extremely unlikely. But to your point, if you hope that it goes south or north, all you're doing, is looking at the potential for others to be in harm's way. Marissa, really quickly before I let you go, the high tide factor is going to be a factor in Tampa Bay, too, right, especially with this latest track?
Absolutely, and that is something everyone is keeping an eye on. I mean, we're talking to people that are at the same hotel that we've been staying at. They're keeping a very close eye on that forecast, of course, knowing that whether or not this storm wobbles north or south and how it coincides, that timing with surge and with the high tide is going to make a massive difference in what they come home to. So every ounce, every inch, every foot of water can make a massive difference, Hallie. We're talking about if someone is inside of their home, if that water level is starting to rise, even a foot could make the difference between someone surviving that or not. Hallie?
Marissa Parra, thank you for being there. We'll check back in with you, I know, in just a little bit. I appreciate it. I want to go to Dana Griffin, who's in Naples now. As we are just learning in the last couple of minutes, Florida has actually set a record, Dana, for tornado warnings in this state for a single day. 111 tornado warnings so far. That is nearly double what the previous record has been because of the way that this storm system is affecting the pressure in this huge part of the state here. We've only seen, based on our NBC News count, at least 17 apparent reported tornadoes. Remember, not every tornado warning corresponds with a tornado on the ground, but this is becoming a big factor, not just along the Gulf Coast, but in other parts of the state as well.
Absolutely. And Hallie, we are in Collier County, one of the counties where one of those tornadoes, at least one of those tornadoes, touched down, going across I-75, just about 26 miles south of where we are now. We were at the beach in Naples when we were conducting interviews, and our phone started alerting, and we saw tornado warning written in bold letters across our phone. So we hightailed it out of there, came to a parking garage further inland and higher up so that we can come back and report some of the scenes that we're seeing here. So at one point we saw the clouds really, really dark, but we did not see any rotations from our vantage point. We've seen the rain bands. We've gotten some gusty winds here. So that's kind of what the feel is like at this very moment. Hallie?
There's also the factor of shelters, right? Because a lot of the shelters in the county where you are high schools, middle schools. That tends to be somewhat typical, although there are some locations that have looked to offload shelters to private sites. They say, hey, kids got to get back to school eventually once the danger of the storm does pass. More imminently, though, the question is whether these shelters can withstand what we're about to see. And officials are pretty confident the answer to that is yes, right?
Absolutely. We spoke to officials here in Collier County. They tell us they have 9 shelters, including 1 special needs shelter. I'm assuming they have some backup generators there because that is for people who need power because of, say, medical devices so that they stay alive. Those are people who pre-registered and they have a caregiver that will go with them. We are told these shelters here have capacity up to 4,600 people. Right now, 1,900 people are in those shelters, but we're told a steady stream of people are coming through. They say they will keep their doors open. They will not close no matter what the storm does. But the good thing is they are so far inland that they believe that they will be safe and protected. And so for people who have not evacuated, maybe there's a financial strain there or there's a concern about whether or not they can bring their pets. There are places you can go, at least here in Naples. And those are some areas you should check out if you have not left, because the storm is coming, and here storm surge is a major threat and will impact this area. Hallie?
You know, Danny, we were just looking at one of the live cameras out of, I think it was St. Pete just a second ago. It looks to my eye like, fortunately, the surfers that you and your crew saw earlier out have made their way back to land, which is obviously a good thing. Is that your sense of it?
Well, we had to leave at the time. They were still there and told us that they were going to stay for another 2 hours. I want to play a bit of our conversation and listen to how they describe this moment. Is there ever a moment during the storm where you say, this is too dangerous, I'm leaving?
Not until we get kicked off, that's about it.
Well, this beach is technically closed, and we've heard law enforcement say people got to get out. Like, are you guys going to just stay anyway?
It was just the beach patrol, so we figured we'd just get by it. Figured it was no problem, not the cops yet, so just try and enjoy the surf.
And Hallie, there were several people out there, including a child. He had his small board. I'm assuming he was with his parents. But this is what they consider a surfer's dream. They do this every time a hurricane is coming. And as you can see, we're feeling some of those wind gusts pick up right now. Hallie?
Geez, just a nightmare for so many. Dana, we hope that everybody, including those guys, are safe. Dana, thank you. Let me bring in Venice Mayor Nick Picciott now, who is joining us. Mayor Picciott, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
One of the issues in your neck of the woods, nearly 10% of homes in Venice are mobile homes. One of your mobile home park has something like 200 lots just about a mile from the coast. You have said to people in manufactured houses, mobile homes, to get out and get out now. Have people largely listened? Are you confident that those evacuation zones have, in fact, been evacuated?
Yeah, I think after Ian, taught our mobile home community how at risk they are. So I think that in those specific areas, we've had some success. Yesterday, I think when people saw the forecast, they really started to take it serious. We saw a lot more evacuations yesterday. So I think we're heading in the right direction.
Of course, this stretch of the coast, we know, tends to skew in some parts a little bit older. 6 in 10 people in your community are 65 or older. What is the plan for some of these nursing homes, some of these hospitals in the area, these vulnerable older folks? Have they been able to get what they need?
Yeah, we've had a lot of evacuations. A lot of those organizations have plans, and they activated those plans ahead of time. We have seen the state come in to assist in some of these evacuations with ambulance strike teams. But all in all, I think a good majority have made their way out.
Yeah. How does this feel to you, Mr. Mayor, compared to Ian 2 years ago?
So I've responded to hurricanes for over 20 years, and this has probably been one of the most concerning storms we've seen in my lifetime.
Why do you say that?
It's a trifecta. We've never seen one barreling towards us from this direction, with the surge, with the winds, with the rain, all three of those things. And right after we just had Helene, where we still have debris on our roadways. We saw for the first time ever in history the breach of our dune system with storm surge. So there's a lot of unique things happening that we haven't seen. And a lot of locals that I've talked to that have been here even longer than I have will confirm the same things.
You've got folks now, some of whom have evacuated, some of whom are sheltering in place. They're essentially hunkering down if they're not in a mandatory evacuation zone. One of the things that Venice had to do was shut down the city water plant because of what you're talking about, the potential for a big storm surge. How long is the expectation that people after this storm could be without water? Do you have any sense of a timeline there?
I mean, I experienced it in Charlie when I deployed. It was weeks before some of the water infrastructure could be repaired and replaced. So, wow. I mean, it depends on what happens to the main lines, but I mean, at least a few days.
Mayor, what's your message to people in Venice and to people on the coast before we let you go?
At this point, we're getting to the point where it's going to be 45-mile-an-hour sustained winds. So my biggest message is be safe. Remember, Venetians are very resilient. We'll come together. We will repair from this. But please be safe. Don't venture out in the storm tonight. Now's the time to hunker down and take this seriously.
Mayor Nick Pashota, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for being on with us tonight. A lot of folks thinking about you and your community tonight and into tomorrow. We'll check back in with you, I know, in the morning. Appreciate it. You heard us talking there about the storm surge. That's been one of the big themes here of this hurricane, given how strong it is. And you heard Mayor Pashota mention, given the angle at which it's approaching Florida, it is more perpendicular, less parallel. That is making the storm surge a big concern, maybe up to 15 feet in spots like Venice, as you just heard. So how does that happen? What are the impacts from something like that? Here's our NBC News meteorologist, Angie Lassman.
When storm surge begins to move into your neighborhood, the initial rush of water can come very suddenly, sometimes in a matter of minutes, quickly cutting off your chance to evacuate. By the time the water depth reaches 3 feet, it can already be too late. This is now a life-threatening situation. Flooded roads will cut off emergency services, and driving or wading through the water to escape will be impossible. As the surge continues to rise past 6 feet, the enormous force of the water pushing into a house can blow out the walls. At 10 feet, water will inundate the entire first floor, making a retreat to the upper floor your only option. Storm surge more than 10 feet can move well inland, sweeping houses off their foundations and destroying entire neighborhoods. In the worst hurricanes, the surge can reach depths of over 20 feet. The threat from storm surge is not something to be underestimated. And with rising sea levels due to climate change, it's likely to be an even greater threat in the years to come.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.